Episode 7 of A Bloody Lucky Day starts where we left off, with Sun Q holding a gun and wondering who the man in front of him is. Hyuk-soo has a habit of touching his ears, and when he does so, Sun Q immediately knows he is the culprit. The boat arrives, and Hyuk-soo is ready to go, so he fights with Sun Q and shoots her before leaving. Sun Q sees Oh-taek floating on the water and pulls him out. As they lay beside each other at the Shire, Sun Q asks Oh-taek to make sure Hyuk-soo gets what he deserves before she loses consciousness and is pronounced dead when the police arrive. Oh-taek is taken to the hospital in critical condition while his wife is at the same hospital, unconscious due to shock. The news report unveils the face of Hyuk-soo, but he is not the same man who has been on a killing spree. In another update, Oh-taek might have won the jackpot in the lottery. Oh-taek wakes up at the hospital, and Jung-min visits him with a file of Hyuk-soo. The person in the file is not the same person who got in Oh-taek's cab, but when he tries to remember his face, he cannot. The doctor says it is an after effect of PTSD due to the events he went through, but Oh-taek wonders why he can remember everything else, but not the face. However, the DNA found at all the murder scenes matches the person the police have on file. Regardless, Oh-taek begs Jung-min to trust him. Oh-taek starts to hallucinate and attacks another man he thinks looks like Hyuk-soo at the hospital. Ju-hwan brings Oh-taek the lottery numbers and tells him he hit the jackpot. He tells him to pay the debts and take care of Sun-hyun with the rest of the money since he lost his mother and sister. Oh-taek and Sun-hyun visit their graves, after which Oh-taek tells him he has something to do. The next scene time jumps to 4 years later. When Ju-hwan's daughter joins them for lunch, Sun-hyun and Ju-hwan work on a car in a garage. After lunch, Chairi cuts their hair. The next scene is in Qingdao, China, and Oh-taek appears on the scene looking like a completely different person. He is asking about a person who smuggled into the country 4 years ago and offering a huge reward for information. A man kidnaps him with a plan to torture him and get the huge lump sum he is offering, but Oh-taek attacks him and pulls one of his fingers. He uses Hyuk-soo's famous line, "Everything has a price." Later that night, Oh-taek gets the call and meets up with one of the gangsters who gave him the boat Hyuk-soo smuggled out of the country. The gang member claims to have information about the mysterious man we know as Hyuk-soo. The man says he came across the boat captain who was supposed to smuggle Hyuk-soo out of China and got some interesting information. He waited for Hyuk-soo but never got on the boat, which could only mean two things. Either Hyuk-soo got lost at sea, or he never left Korea. Oh-taek goes back to Korea and does not stop investigating his daughter's murderer despite Sun-hyun's pleas. Oh-taek and Mr. Beck looked into various possibilities to help him recognize the person who got into his cab, but they hit a dead end every time. However, Oh-taek believes that even though the man lied about his name, the stories he told him, especially about his first love, were true, and he decides to use that as a clue to discover who he is. Oh-taek starts looking for Yoon Se-na in every theater in Seoul until a man overhears him asking about her one day. He knows Yoon Se-na, her alias, and where she works. Oh-taek waits outside her workplace, and at first, she thinks he is a Shylock asking for payment and attempts to escape. When he calls her Yoon Se-na, she is rooted on the spot and is willing to listen. Oh-taek leans that the person who is Yoon Se-na's soulmate is Lee Byung-min. She gives him a flash with the story they wrote in high school and says she has bad memories about him and never wants to hear his name again. While Oh-taek goes through the story, finding clues, we are introduced to the real culprit, Lee Byung-min. He is a hotshot CEO of a biotechnology company called Odin. He is kind and loved by the employees in the office and has a wife who is pregnant with his baby. Oh-taek finds a clue about the company's name from the story. At the end of the episode, Oh-taek waits outside Odin in the cold and rain until he sees the person who got in his cab. Lee Byung-min helps his wife into the car, and when Oh-taek sees him, the image that has been foggy in his mind becomes clear. He looks at Sun-min's photo on her phone and tells her that he has finally found the man. The episode review. Although the episode solves the suspense about the man who got into the taxi, it still does not explain how Hyuk-soo's DNA was found on the scenes, convincing the police that he is the real killer. Is there a connection between Hyuk-soo and Lee Byung-min? That is the main question we look forward to answering in the next episode. What will Oh-taek do now that he has found his culprit? Will there be any evidence to prove Lee Byung-min might be the killer?